Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get this back. All right, I posted the
Okay.
Nerd Union
I think
page.
are we back up?
Are we?
Okay, cool. So you posted on the Facebook page. I see. I seen it.
Let me see.
Gonna reshare this thing.
Is it back? Okay.
So
Cool.
you just like spiked out.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
Comcast. Peculiar. But we're back now.
We are back.
And in control.
Hey!
In
So,
control.
Kenneth, you were saying, how's your week?
I was doing well before that. No, it's good. We were talking about. I go into. Yeah, I nerd out about HDMI cords and fiber. So if that's up your alley,
A lot.
I'm like that's what I always wanted to know about. How does this work from my system to the TV? Yeah, you can definitely check that out. But long story short, I will be able to stream more regularly. So these consoles I've been talking about, I wanted to be showing you Miles Morales and Demon Souls, and just was not able to. Now we're all good. So yeah, that has been my weekend, and we finally got. Like, I've been sending cords and stuff back, being like, this doesn't work. It doesn't do what you say it does. So
This doesn't work how it's supposed to.
it's over for now.
All right, we apologize for the internet outage, folks. We had an internet outage. It just things happen. It's not your fault. You don't have to apologize for it.
I mean, Kenneth hit the turn off the internet button, so.
You got a little too hype about tonight's show.
Yeah, see, there's this little switch over here, and this goes like faster or off. There is no on.
What about ludicrous speed? Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rap super fast. The faster you can rap, the faster your internet goes.
I would love
And
that.
I'd be back in at least DSL days, maybe?
Oh. Gotta learn to talk fast.
Yep.
Steven, how's your week been?
Just become an auctioneer and you'll be good. Going once, going twice. It's been pretty alright. Been playing a bunch more Genshin Impact.
Yes.
The music in Genshin is really, really good, and basically, like every time I'm playing, I'm playing with my friends on Discord or whatever, and we'll just like stop mid sentence, like, yo, the music in this game is really good. It's like it is really good.
Yeah.
One of my friends had a really insightful comment that like it feels like it's definitely a game that's like it's made to get you addicted to it a little bit and like kind of get you to spend money because like that's the name of the games that are made post 2015. But like, where most companies, looking at you, EA, are just like, yo, let's just make like a mediocre game and then just try to pump as much money out of it. Like the folks who developed Genshin were like, what's the best way to make a lot of money? How about we just make a good video game and then do all the monetization stuff? So like people don't super care. And also because of like legal reasons, we have to tell you the probability of you getting a particular thing.
Right. And that actually wasn't on our show notes, but I think I'm going to open up with that tonight because there actually is an event going on in Genshin right now that's a pretty big deal for anybody that's playing the game.
Yes.
So right now you can get the character Fischl, who is eccentric is the word I'll use. She's very eccentric as a character, but she is very good as a character. She's a electro archer that you can win in the game. And normally you have to get her just by random odds from your wish pulls. But right now there's an event going on in the game, which actually has a pretty decent story to it, where you can unlock her for free if you fulfill various tasks. So if you just boot into the game, it'll automatically introduce you to everything going on, and you can look at it in your event list. But it's a free character, and it's one of the things I've really appreciated about Genshin Impact is that, yes, this is a gacha game, but you also are given all the tools that you need to be able to keep up in the game, and they also give you free characters and everything like that aren't even part of like the story unlocks and stuff like that. So basically, you have an access point, an entry point into the game, even without paying a single dollar, and they do actually give you like 50 free pulls worth of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you use it wisely, you can get some good characters. Like I've already got a Diluc and I haven't paid a single dollar into the game.
Yeah, I've got. I think I have almost a full team, a second full team of
Yeah.
heroes, and I haven't paid it all. I fully expect like eventually, because the way that these games kind of are manufactured to work is like eventually you hit a point where yes, you can continue to grind and like try to get stuff for free, but eventually you'll hit kind of like a critical mass where like you know at a certain point, is it worth me grinding 40 hours with
Mm-hmm.
this kind of thing to get this next item I need to upgrade my weapon or to do whatever, or will I just give these people $5?
Yeah.
And I know eventually that I'll hit that point, but I haven't hit it yet. I'm still enjoying the story. I don't need to pay for anything. Like there's like incentive for me to pay for stuff. For me, the way that I approach it is, I think I've mentioned this before. If I play a game for a long time and it's really good and it's also free, like Genshin Impact, like I'll pay as much as I would pay for that game normally. So my
Right.
plan is, once I hit a certain point or I hit that wall where like, hey man, you should probably give me like $5. Like I'll, over time I'll spend maybe $60 on the game, and that'll be my limit. And if I feel like, like with this game, if this game had presented more stuff to me in the form of DLC, how much would I pay for it? Like, and I kind of like rationalize it through that way. Because there's certain games where I'm like, oh, whoa, I bought this game for $30. I played it for 400 hours. I feel like I need to get $50. So it's like, when they sell me the album or soundtrack for the game, I'm like, do I want this? Maybe. Am I ever going to listen to it on Steam? Realistically, no. However, I want to give them more money, so get the extra $15.
Yeah, and honestly, like I've been playing this game since launch started, and like I haven't run into a point where I didn't feel like I was able to do something in the game. And it's honestly like I haven't paid a single dollar for this game, and it's better than some games that I paid $60 for. Like, there's just so much to do, especially if like you're just a casual gamer. Like, you're never gonna have stuff where you just don't have anything to do. Like, some people who like hardcore played the game and like hit a wall where they feel like they don't have anything to do, but that's if you like super grind. Like if you just play normal, like you're not gonna run into that point.
Yeah, if you're a casual gamer, like you can totally pick up Genshin Impact for free, and like you can play it, and you can probably play it for like, if you're a casual gamer, you're probably not playing games for like 4 hours a day, but you can play it for 4 hours a day, and you're not gonna run out of stuff to do because there's a bunch of stuff to do. You're gonna have a good time. So if you just want to pick up something that's fun to play, that you can play on mobile, and like is an actually good game that doesn't beat you over the head with microtransactions,
yes,
Genshin Impact is a really good choice.
Yeah, plus it's got a dope soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack's amazing. I will give one criticism in their pursuit to like gamify it in such a way where they want to get you to come back and continue to do whatever. They have a weird mechanic where some of the construction materials are only like probable drops on certain days, which to me is really dumb because like what if you work all day Sunday and like this particular drop that comes from this dungeon is only available on Sunday. Like usually it's like oh, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays or something for this particular thing from these particular dungeons or whatever. But it's a weird thing that I don't super like, but like it has its trade-offs. As somebody who is not a casual gamer, who does have like the economic flexibility to play at the drop of a hat basically whenever I want, it doesn't super affect me. But for the folks who are more casual but do want to progress, like they have to kind of like play around a certain schedule to get certain drops. Or I guess you could pay money to get them, so you can build them or whatever, or try to construct them. But I don't like it. It's weird, and I don't like it.
I actually hadn't run into that mechanic yet. That's interesting.
Yeah, a friend of mine who fits the bill of somebody who's throwing down and running out of things to do, has pointed that out as a hurdle because he's trying to collect items to upgrade his characters or upgrade his weapons or whatever, and he's like, oh, I can't get this item unless it's a Tuesday. What if I was busy on Tuesday?
Yeah,
it's a reasonable argument.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, not everybody has the same time amount of each day to play, and that's kind of unfair. That's off that.
Yeah, but moving on, they want money, so.
Yeah. But moving on to some more game news. So GameStop has been trying to shift their monetization strategies, actually. So the the CEO of Chewy, Ryan Cohen, suggested that a way forward for GameStop might be to have them focus more on online sales than their brick and mortar locations. And when he first suggested this, he's tried to suggest it to the board, large interest in or amount of shares that he holds in the company. And he didn't really get a good response back from that. So he created a public letter to try to get more of a response back out of them about this. And we haven't really seen where they're going with this quite yet. But the idea of them moving to an online sale based format as opposed to their central piece being the brick and mortar stores is a rather interesting concept. And I'm not really sure what that would look like for GameStop, honestly. I don't know if you guys have any feedback on that.
When you say like online sale, like it makes me think of GameFly.
Yeah, but that's like Blockbuster.
Yeah, like when GameStop says they want to do digital stuff, I'm like, but all the game consoles already have digital stuff, so I'm like, what leg do you have to stand on here exactly? Are you
exactly.
You're just gonna mail me a physical copy of the game? Because
like the whole reason that I buy from GameStop in general, like I don't really like their trade-in deals, but at the same time, like I'm still gonna get more physical value out of that than if I just not somebody that's great at reselling online because I don't trust people. But like I'm not do that if I just do everything digitally, which is part of the reason that I'd prefer physical copies of games over digital copies. But I don't see how GameStop is going to be able to do that because a large portion of what at least I would buy from them is used price stuff. Unlike when they allow you to like buy X amount of things, get X amount free, or they have good discounts on stuff like that. And so if they move to a digital format, I'm wondering how they're going to manage all of that. And I suppose it's just like they focus more on marketing in their online sales because you can do all that online theoretically. Like apparently you can like send in games that like your used copies of games and get trade-in value. But I don't know. It's an interesting idea, and I'm not really sure how they would move that forward.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Like, it seems like I feel like if I were on the executive board, it feels like an easy thing to suggest, but a very difficult thing to implement.
Right.
Like, oh, let's just move online, and like for the rest of the board, I would probably throw my hands up and slam my hands on the desk. Like, how? Like, what do you want us to do? Like, basically every console already has an online store. People already don't like us, and you want to change our notably garbage model to something that's probably profitable that'll let us exist in the future in an environment where that's nearly impossible. Like, this would have been a novel idea had you suggested it 20 years ago. However, it's a bit late to suggest, what if we went online, after everyone else has already done it?
Yeah, it's like they're late to the party.
One thing from the article is because of how much they're suggesting about the Amazon comparison. So when I hear that, it's not just about like Amazon's online sales, but it's about Amazon's logistics and how they get things to your door, how they get things to around the world to get different sellers and stuff involved. So I think that may be what they were leaning towards a little bit more, was saying that. And again, you might be right. They might have missed the window for that. And I also think I would agree with you. I think they missed the window. Like, why didn't you buy up some of the Toys R Us's when they were getting sold off and use that as an opportunity to like expand your ability to reach and things like that? Why didn't you come out with your own Steam store when that was, because people were laughing at that, like, why do we need Steam? You don't say that anymore.
Right?
That's not a question. No one's like, oh, what do you use Steam for? It's a reason to go to get your
what do I need this for? I keep all of my games in a folder. I'm like a normal person. Me, 2001.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, especially with like the Amazon comparison though. Like, so I've done some work in Amazon's backends before, and I'm not sure. I can't even fathom a way that GameStop's format could convert into that, because the way that Amazon's backend works is that these sellers have like listings that they create on their backend, and then they set the prices for it and all that. They can set discounts and sales and all this various stuff, and however you want to market it according to that. But it still goes through that, and it's basically like a storefront for small sellers where Amazon takes a decent chunk of the profit out of it, and they can pay to market more, and Amazon does various algorithmic things with that. So it'd be really weird to see like GameStop try to do something like that, because then you'd have like smaller game shops that I guess are pulling stuff on there, but I don't know. That'd be weird.
Yeah,
especially when there's a bunch of sites like Mercari and eBay and all this other stuff going on already.
Like, there's already so many. The problem with GameStop is like they're always behind the 8 ball. Like they do not innovate. Like they've operated on like the same, extra shady practices for a real long time. And if like I'm not gonna get into it now, but if you don't know what that means, like there are tons and tons and tons of YouTube videos from people who have worked at GameStop, and they will tell you all the various ways that a GameStop tries to just like straight up steal your money without you knowing.
Yep.
But like they've, all of their business model is built around the idea that there will be brick and mortar stores, people will go to them, and like they can give you however little money they want for a $40, $50, $60 game, and you're going to be like, well, it's more than nothing, and you'll just give them the game and they'll resell it for, multiple times its actual value. But now they can't do that. The climate just doesn't allow for it, and because they sat on that, very shady strategy for a really long time, everyone else has already moved into completely reasonable ideas. So like there's no room, there's no motivation like for GameStop. It's like when you're a Steam player and like you buy a game that requires you to use a new launcher, you have to use the EA launcher, like you're like, you know what, I'm just never gonna play the game. No, just no. Yeah, exactly. Like you understand. It's like you're just like, I have to use a new launcher, I need to give EA my information again.
Because I don't want to have to deal with another marketplace. It's like I'm already I'm on Steam.
Like, exactly. I'm on Steam now. I don't need GameStop anymore. I can go buy my physical games at Best Buy if I want to.
I literally went in the other day and like uninstalled Phantasy Star Online so I could reinstall it through Steam and just click the button on Steam.
Yes.
Nice. I was like, this is more convenient.
Yes. Glorious.
just so I had that quick button access.
Boom.
Oh, but moving on from that note, Kenneth's got some news for us. Yes, convenience is important. But speaking of convenience, we're going to move on to some news about Wonder Woman 1984 that's going to have some convenience. Kenneth's got some more news about that for you.
Oh yeah, I see we lined all the DC info together. I don't know if I did that intentionally or accidentally.
You're just that good, man.
Yes. So, you won't be able to watch Wonder Woman 1984 in 4K, but that's also because you can't watch anything in 4K on HBO Max anyway. In quite an extreme oversight or a project that's coming down the pipeline, 4K resolution is just something that hasn't been optimized for the HBO Max app. So that will be coming eventually, but if you're looking for that beautiful picture on that brand new Black Friday TV you bought in Thanksgiving in anticipation of watching Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, it's not gonna happen. So
you don't have the tech.
No, we have the tech. HBO Max ain't got the tech. After all this 4K HDMI wire bullshit I just went through, I got the tech.
I have to imagine the dudes at HBO are like, oh yo, we ready to release the Wonder Woman in 4K? And like some dudes like, what's 4K? And like they're just like, oh my god.
I bet that's how that happened. They're like, we were supposed to what?
Wait, what is 4K? What are you guys talking about? We got 1080p. We're good.
Yeah. That's just the fact that they weren't prepared for that, especially with like all the outcoming tech right now that's coming out that's just like the standard. Like, what you doing, guys?
It's like, I don't know what they've been doing for this past year. Like, come on.
Especially because like HBO has always been a subscription service. Like, this isn't one of those little free things where they like make money off of you choosing to give them money. Like, you have to pay them in order to have their service. It's always been that way for HBO. And you had like things like Game of Thrones where like everybody and their Spanish grandmother was like subscribed to it. Like,
yep.
Come on. Oh man. But I guess it is what it is with them. I don't really know why they don't have that set up already, but we'll see. But speaking of more DC news that's coming, so the show Black Lightning, if you're a fan of that, well, you can enjoy this last season because this is the last season that we're coming. This fourth one is. It's just they're closing up a lot of DC shows. The CW is I don't really know what they're doing. We're assuming that they're kind of just moving everything over to HBO Max and trying to let that be like their central DC TV piece. But this upcoming season is going to be the last one for Black Lightning. But you will be getting a show based off of Painkiller, which I don't know why that was the decision that was made. You could have made off of a show off of his daughters, like made a spin-off show about that and had a really good show about two really good black women, mind you. But we're gonna base the show off of
character development and thing into, and time and energy and effort. But it's
no. Let's make it off about Painkiller, who was a villain that's turning hero now. That's gonna confront his dark side. And this doesn't sound at all like anything that has to do with Sasuke. But yeah, I don't even know where to go from that joke. Honestly, like this. Look, we love a good story about the hero or the villain becoming a hero and learning from his mistakes and trying to use his dark side into the good, but we don't really need any more of that. It's kind of a tired arc, and it's not to say that it shouldn't ever be done, but when you have something better you could do, like making a story about his daughters, you should probably go that route instead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're still gonna just like take like a random character and be like, yo, you get a spinoff. I mean, why not just make a Static Shock live adaptation? That'd be cool.
Yeah, you could have introduced Virgil in the show and had him looking up to Black Lightning the whole time, and then like all of a sudden like the whole experiment happens and stuff like that, and he gets his powers at the end of the show, like much in the same way you could have done this with John Diggle, but they don't really know how to transition out of stuff like that apparently. So
apparently,
I guess
what they probably did is I would wager that it might be a little bit bizarre if like what's it called? If like the actor's like not interested in doing the character of Black Lightning anymore, like it'd probably be like a lot harder to swing a spinoff for one of his daughters if he's just like, yo, I don't want to do Black Lightning anymore. And they're like, come on, man, like we can't just not have you show up in the show at all. Like that would be ridiculous.
But see, they could though, because in the way that they've got that multiverse set up, they could easily have some kind of crossover event where like the actor themselves changes because of various multiversal events, and then you're solved. Problem is solved.
Yeah, just like we got two Nick Furies.
I mean, it works.
Yeah. I mean, you could swing it. I feel like people, the general populace is like slowly becoming acclimated to like, you know, the multi-worlds theory, and like you'll be met with more than just like, the hell is that? When you bring it up in conversation. So like as we approach that, like I feel as we approach the, you know, the inevitable Marvelness of multi-world razzmatazz, I feel like you can just be like, oh, it's a parallel universe, and everybody just be like, okay, and just accept it.
Or you could just pull a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and be like, hey, Dad, did you shave? You look a little different. Everybody looks at the camera. We recognize what happened, and we move on.
Or Quentin Beck is screwing with you. And it's all
my gosh. It's not real. Hey.
Oh, Mysterio.
Oh, man.
But in more news about the DC universe that's happening, so Stargirl has some new things. Jim Gaffigan has been cast as Thunderbolt, and Akalia Brunson, I hope I'm saying his name right, is now Jakeem Thunder. I actually didn't know about the Jim Gaffigan thing before I read these notes. That's hilarious. And I'm excited about Brunson being Jakeem Thunder. He got a lot of setup in the previous season about that. We knew that he was probably going to have something happen. It's nice to have that confirmation. So we already knew that Thunderbolt was going to be one of the more powerful characters in the DC comics. He's going to be coming on the show for this season. But now we know that he's probably going to be teaming up with the Pen Trap Genie when the show returns to the CW this season. And
so like Jim Gaffigan as a
that's going to be
imp
yes.
I think
if you don't know why this, and if you don't know why this is funny, you need to go watch, like, turn on your Netflix, go watch a couple of Jim Gaffigan's comedy specials that he's got on there. Especially if you have children, you should definitely watch them because they are hilarious and they encapsulate parenting far more perfectly than I ever understood until I had my own kids. He's hilarious. Him as this little imp is going to be just out of this world hilarious. And it'll be a really good aspect of that show for those that haven't been previously interested in it.
And I'm assuming he's voicing it, and I'll have some like I can't imagine him dressing
I mean, it'd be funny if it was like a miniature him with like the CGI faces and stuff like that.
I'm down with it. I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly could see him going for something ridiculous like that too. So I am infinitely more interested in the show as a result of that. I think that that's a good pick for them to get some more names behind the show that people are going to recognize and want to see. Because while it's a good show, it's not popular, I don't feel like. And to be fair, CW's had
forget it exists.
Yes. The CW's had a lot of DC characters on their shows now. So it's kind of hard, or it's kind of easy for stuff to get lost in the mix. So for them to be putting more effort into these smaller shows, it's kind of cool to see that, especially as they're canceling all their bigger shows. However, I hope they don't backpedal on that, and if they decide to reintroduce some of the previous characters, they do it in a way that's tactful, as opposed to those characters come and steal the show and it's all about them again. But that's about as much as we got on the DC news for you guys this week, as far as the CW goes. Kenneth, do you want to talk a little bit about Stranger Things?
Stranger Things?
Yeah, that's not my wheelhouse. I haven't watched all of it yet. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible person.
What?
Yeah, I know.
After the character retcon they did to Hopper in the last season, I'm honestly just waiting for this thing to be done. So there's a bunch of names here. I'm not gonna go through them because I'm gonna say their names. You're gonna give me that look like, who did you just say? And I know I know you don't know who I'm talking about. There's about 8 of new characters been added to the show for season 4. I know you don't know them, except for one, and this is the biggie. Freddy Krueger, the villain of Nightmare on Elm Street, still villain. Robert Englund is joining as a convicted killer. He's going to be in a psych hospital in some form of the scene, so he's not going to be a series regular. He's not going to be for the entire thing, but he'll be popping in for a couple episodes during season 4. So they're leaning into the 80s even more. So we've seen this before with who's the guy from Aliens? Crap, Burke, the guy that played Burke, and then also we got I was about to say Bilbo Baggins, Samwise.
YOLO Swaggins.
Sean
YOLO
Astin.
Swaggins.
So they're going heavy on their 80s feel with this one. So how that role is going to play out, I don't know, but I expect old Rob's going to do a good job. But yeah, we'll put the rest of the names on the show list. I can tell you what they've done. It's long, and I think you're gonna look at me like, did he really just list all those names out? I don't know who they. I'm like, I'm gonna save you the pain and not do that to you. So you're welcome.
Dude, when you said 8 new actors have been added to Stranger Things, I'm like, oh, Stranger Things Ultimate?
Stranger Things Ultimate. Yeah, it's a lot. But it'll be curious to see how they introduce all these characters in this show, especially if they're faces that people are going to recognize. So,
I'm curious to see how they're going to do, like, are they going to do, like, a time skip plot-wise? Because, I mean, the kids are growing up. Like, kids grow up real quick, so they're... Mm-hmm. I mean, if time dilation works the same way it does whenever I see one of my younger cousins, who I swore was 10, and, like, they're in college, those kids are probably, like, 18 by now or something. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
So I'm like, are they going to do... like a new set of kids? Probably not, because that's a major change. But are they gonna do like a time skip? Or are they just gonna do the like, hey there, fellow kids, I'm a kid just like you. Ignore my 5 o'clock shadow and red like razor birds. But I'm a kid. I'm 12 years old, just like you.
I could probably see something like a time skip happen, especially because like a lot of shows that came out around the same time as Stranger Things are starting to jump into time skips to kind of compensate for that, because you could pretend someone's a teenager for only so long until, like, no, this is an adult and they look like an adult now.
Yeah. We're in the Stranger Things Shippuden now.
Stranger Things Shippuden.
Or this is crazy. You could just end it. You could just stop. You can just stop.
What?
Like,
No.
You don't have to keep going.
No, we don't do that.
Money.
That's not how TV works, Kenny.
I don't need 1,000 episode animes that I can never restart. Okay, I can't do it. People ask me, have I watched Naruto?
Start watching One Piece right now.
Oh no!
Catch up.
I literally skipped half of Naruto because I realized the second half of that first show was all filler and went straight to Shippuden after like Sasuke left.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Like
what you do is you watch up until Sasuke leaves. You watch the 2 episodes that involve Rock Lee, and then you jump to Shippuden because there's nothing else going on.
yeah, because Rock Lee is fantastic and main reason I kept watching that show.
Absolutely.
Because he's amazing. Sorry, we're getting drastically distracted. So, Steve, have you seen anything about the new look for Starfire on Titans?
I am not actually.
Kenny, do you have a slide you can pull up for that or no?
Yeah. I just put the photo up on the old video there.
All right, so check this out on the stream real quick. Starfire on Titans has a new look, and it's gotten some mixed reviews, but I'm a fan. It looks dope.
Hey,
Like she
I'm
looks
seeing
like
it now for the first time. This looks great.
Yeah, she looks like a badass. Like she looks like she does the comics. She looks like a superhero. She looks like she's gonna come in and take names. Like I'm excited for it, especially because like there was so much controversy on when she first showed up on the show, like how she looked and everything like that. And like I get that they were trying to go for this edgier thing, but it's nice to see them harkening back to that comic style. Like it's nice to see them take that, evolve it into a TV medium. And yes, we know she's not walking around in a daggum bikini, but honestly, we don't need that. We need it to make sense for the show, however they do it, and we need it to look good. We need it to like be relevant. And I'm really happy with this. It looks like she's had a good character development in the midst of this. Like, do with it.
Yeah, I really like this outfit. I remember when the show first came out. Frankly, for me, I chalk up most of like this doesn't look like Starfire. Mostly just up to internet racism because the actress is black, and it was like, this person doesn't look like Starfire. It's like, and then people were complaining about like the costumes for the various characters and whatever. And I'm like, excuse me, I for one am not complaining that when we make a live adaptation of a comic book involving minors, that they are not scantily clad the whole time. And I appreciate that they have regular clothes on and a reasonable superhero outfit.
Yeah.
So excuse the hell out of me, but I like the outfit. For me, I just like that it looks like Alien. Like it's a really bizarre looking design that looks like it's from another planet, and it's also purple, which fits the color scheme of the original character. So
yeah, because the original character's purple, and guess what? She's from another planet. And honestly, for those of you that don't really understand, like the whole like, well, she's black, and that doesn't make sense for the comic. First of all, in the comic, she's orange. Like, and last time I checked, I don't know any humans who are orange. And I got a pretty diverse friend group.
Well, we know one orange human, unfortunately.
I don't know them. I don't know them personally.
Nice.
And for those of you who don't understand this, when you're growing up and you can't find character costumes that you want to dress up as, but people that look like you, it's nice to see that representation to be like, oh man, like I could dress up as this character. Like, and it's also nice for, I don't know, me as a black dad to see my daughter who is white because of genetic reasons, because I'm mixed. She has black people to look up to in these roles and to see that as a normal thing. Like she's going to grow up and see characters who look like her and see characters that don't look like her, and it's going to be a normal thing for her to see them in the spotlight. And that's a huge deal for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it is a huge deal for you too, but
because growing up, it's like there's always that one other kid or other group of kids like you can't be Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's not black, and it's like, who
that's a real thing too. Crap like that happens.
Name 10 characters that that I can be, and they're like Jax from Jax.
Eddie Gordo.
Eddie Gordo. It's like exactly. And it's I got the Sub-Zero costume on. I'm Sub-Zero.
Yeah, and before that, honestly, like there wasn't before Justice League, like there really wasn't a whole lot as far as like the superhero realm that I was aware of people that looked like me. So like Justice League showed up with Green Lantern, and then Static Shock showed up. I was like, oh, they look like me. These are cool.
Yep, and Cyborg.
Yeah, and Cyborg.
And it's
there's a whole bunch of other black comic book characters who came up before. Blade was like one of the biggest ones.
But
and everybody points to Blade, and I'm like, I don't want to be a vampire. And it's not a knock on Blade. I like Blade. Yeah. Blade is cool. I think Mahershala Ali's going to do great in the new movie. So woo woo. But
yeah,
sorry, it was like that's not like the. And it was a rated R. It's the other thing. Like as a kid,
Yeah,
that
when
wasn't
I'm
something
like,
I could like just
and I
bust
can't
out.
see that.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, cool. This guy's a black character in the movie. I don't know what it's about, but I've seen the commercials. Mom won't let me watch it because it's very violent. But she knows who it is because it's like, my mom was in the comic books back in the day. So it's like, she has like an encyclopedic knowledge of like the 15 black characters that existed at the time.
Yeah.
But it's like your options are very limited. So, having any sort of representation. I mean, it goes back to the thing of like, the argument always comes up from folks. It's usually white dudes who don't get it, but it's like everywhere that you've ever gone, you've always had folks in some kind of fantasy or science fiction or whatever role that look like you. But for women and minorities, it's like how many times it's like before Alien, how many super strong female roles did women have to look up to at all?
Yeah. There weren't a lot.
Exactly. And it's like, there's a major, hole for that kind of stuff that can be populated. And it's not like, these characters' existence takes yet another role away from a traditional white man that he could possibly fill. But it's like, there's space for everybody. Not everything needs to be. There's space for everybody. Not everything is for everyone, but representation matters. Like seeing people who look like you in particular roles, especially growing up, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and if you're on any of our streams right now, if you have opinions about not the comic, the new look that Starfire's got, let us know in the comment section how you feel about it. And let us know what you think about it. Kenny, you got some news about Bob's Burgers writers today, don't you?
Yes. After Ryan Reynolds has been courting different screenwriters for the upcoming Deadpool 3, which is not in development hell, but I think everyone's been a little worried about how is that going to go with the mouse having more owning it now. So Lindy Mullenix and Lizzie Mullenix-Legoin, they're the two writers or two of the writers from Bob's Burgers. One out. Ryan Reynolds loves them. On the Bob's Burgers account, on the Deadpool Twitter account, there's a picture of him crosses the swords over Bob. I forget what.
Oh gosh.
So go check the photo out. But yeah, confirming that's going to happen. So studios and Kevin Feige are on board to work on a new movie, and again, still in early development. So for those that don't know, yes, this is the first one that's going to come from Marvel Studios proper, and we have not seen an R-rated Marvel movie that was from the Marvel Studios. We've seen Logan, Wolverine was PG. I can't remember if that was PG-13. And obviously the Deadpool movies. So the Fox movies could be R. So this, I mean, a lot of people are just wondering like how much is it going to be in the vein of what we've seen before, and we just don't know. At least comedy-wise, this seems like in a good vein. Like how are they going to make it? We don't know yet.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued by how that's going to go.
In before H.J. Benjamin cameo in Deadpool 3, where he pretends to be both Bob from Bob's Burgers and Archer.
That would be hilarious.
I'm calling it.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting, though, because now Deadpool can make Disney references.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he could probably do it before, but they just have to pay a whole bunch of money. But now they can do it for free.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know how that's going to go, as far as the R rating goes, or if they're going to keep it. But
I mean, I feel like they will. Like Disney has been in the money making business for a really long time, and they understand. Sometimes you gotta put weird innuendos and F words and things so that you can make money because they're supposed to be weird innuendos and F words and things. And if they're not there, then you did it wrong. So Mickey Mouse understands when to drop an F bomb.
Oh man, that reminds me of that South Park episode.
We're on the same page.
I haven't seen that South Park episode, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Just look up Jonas Brothers Purity Rings.
Yeah, it's a trip. But yeah, don't expect to see Deadpool at Disney World anytime soon, though. But maybe expect to see Deadpool in the Avengers universe now, because he has been known to tag along with the Avengers from time to time and is fond of a few of them. not the least of which is Spider-Man or Captain America.
So that's what I wanted to ask before we move to the next topic. How buddy do you think Reynolds and Tom Holland could be in a, like, is he gonna make a Tom Holland joke or reference in this movie? Will we ever get that Logan appearance from Wolverine for just like 2 seconds? Like, I'm curious if they do let him be R. Like, it's like when the kids wanted to go see Deadpool 1 or 2, and people were like, why? Where did this come from? Why do you want to? You should not see your. Well, but it's because Disney was having these Deadpool Spidey team ups happening on the animated. They were getting put partner together in comics more, so it's like kids were getting used to seeing them. So they're like, oh yeah, we can watch Deadpool, right? It's like no.
Yeah. I don't know if Disney's gonna do like the whole Deadpool is homosexually attracted to Spider-Man, but I don't know. It kind of depends on whether or not Sony will allow it.
I feel like at what I expect at most, or maybe at minimum, I don't know, is to probably make references to Tobey Maguire and Tall Spider-Man.
Yeah, Tall Spider-Man.
To Tom Holland.
Oh, Garfield.
You mean too cool Spider-Man? Because he shouldn't be that cool.
Spider-Man should never be that cool. That's too much.
Yeah. It's like they completely misunderstood the part where like Spider-Man is supposed to be a dweeb.
Yeah.
It's like Tobey Maguire might have a punchable face, but hey, that's the
he's supposed to.
Oh gosh. I guess you could just lean on the Cable more, because like with Thanos being done, it gives you more Josh Brolin around the Marvel Studios. So
yeah. Now, he might throw in a reference to be talking about Peter Parker and be like, look how handsome this guy is. But I think that's as far as they'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. I feel like if Sony was in charge, though, they'd probably be like, let's go full swing. It's like anything Deadpool has ever said in the comic book is fair game.
That's not going to happen until Peter's at least out of high school. Because then it's going to cross another line that's not acceptable.
Yeah, that's the weird line.
Yeah, that's the whoa! And not a fun way.
All right, $50 says the title for the third Spider-Man is Graduation.
That doesn't have the word home in it, Kenny.
Ah, dang it! You're right. Homecoming, Far From Home.
Home Away From Home. Or Home Alone 3. There you go.
I was about to say Home Alone.
Wait. I'm gonna figure this out. I'll get back to you. I'll figure this out.
You owe me $50 via Venmo.
You can't do it yet. We gotta figure out the terms of the bet and shake on it, or determine what our digital shake would look like.
Yeah. Speaking of rage, you want to talk about some more of your rage that's coming out of the new consoles?
Oh God.
Yes.
So, as you know, if you've been trying to secure yourself a PS5 or Xbox, you know that particularly on the internet, you've been fighting bots. I understand why people would do bots to try to win out and get a console, but that's not really what most of these people using bots are doing it for. They're doing it to stockpile and get their hands on as many as they can to resell locally in their local marketplace or online. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't have any kind of like hard evidence being like, look, this person's like, well, you might see it on social media. This person's bought X number, like, and flaunting about it. It's like, okay. Or then you start seeing someone post it on their wall. Okay, whatever. But a UK newspaper has found out one particular group in the UK has gotten upwards of 3,500 PS5s just for their own scalping. This coordinated group between their bots and like trying to buy pre-orders. This one group, 3,500.
And that's just one group. Just one.
That's just
how big is the group?
Now that's the one thing I didn't get from the article is how many there were in the group. So I think that'd have to be still a fairly large group, because one thing that the sites have done sort of well is the accounts that were required to buy it. So like they would need someone creating extra emails, creating extra accounts and things like that. So could one person have done it? Sure, but I don't think you would have got 3,500. That person would probably get 10. But if you had like a group of 30 or something working diligent, like they're making this their basis a full-time job, then yeah, they might be able to pull that off with enough credit cards and stuff.
Yeah. Scalp them all and sell them to Santa.
Yeah, that's just scummy. Like straight up, like wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're wondering why you can't find a console, it's because of crap like this. And this is not the only group that has that, like, set block of consoles. There's probably other groups that have out there that have, like, hundreds of consoles to their name that are trying to resell them for absorbently high prices. Like, this is the problem.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I don't know what to do about it. There's been other issues that we've run into, or people have run into with their PS5 consoles where even if they bought them legally, and I guess the bots are maybe not illegal, I don't really know. But even if they bought them by the normal standards where you wait in line online and try to get there as soon as you possibly can. So they've been getting their boxes for their consoles, and when they open them, they're full of things like George Foreman grills or some other random weighted item that seems to pass the weight test but actually isn't a console. Because people have been stealing them. Or they've had people who have been working for Amazon or whatever who have pulled up to their house, marked it as delivered to customer, and like handed off to customer, and then just drove off without actually dropping off the console.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
the George Foreman grill part is like some Indiana Jones level stuff of like you're like, how much does a PS5 roughly weigh? I was like approximately the weight of a George Foreman grill. I was like, what model of George Foreman grill? Like doing like the Indiana Jones of like, this is very big and cumbersome. It's like, okay, 1, 2, 3.
You're just sitting there swapping it out and just trying to make sure he gets it right.
I just feel like there's so many things you could have put in there that you chose. No, you chose.
I mean, at least it's not rocks.
Someone knew what they did.
At least it's not rocks though, because that's the way that the gotcha goes from back in the day. And it's like, you know, you see, like people would buy, you know, like a TV or something from this is back in the day, so it'd be like Kmart or something like that, and you go home, you're taking the TV out of the box, you fill it up with the approximately the weight of a TV's worth of rocks, and take it back like, hey, I bought this TV, it's the wrong one. My wife's upset, gotta take it back. Like, oh, it's cool, sir, just reseal, it's good to go. And, you know, it feels like a TV. It shakes around like a box, like a bag of TV-shaped rocks. But, you know, that's what people used to do back in the day. I remember my mom used to tell me, you got to watch out for that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, in the modern day, there's no equivalent of, you know, shaking the PS5 box before the person ships it to you and it's a bag of rocks or a George Foreman grill, apparently.
I've actually got a story about that of something that happened to us.
Yo, hit it.
So when we first had my son, we got a stroller from a friend of ours who
was a bag of rocks.
No, it wasn't a bag of rocks. But instead of the stroller that was on the box, it was another stroller that was a different color and busted and like dirty and nasty. And we opened the box and we're like, what the freak is this? So we had to take it back, and then Walmart wouldn't take it back, so we had to take it back to another Walmart because of reasons, but that corporate crap. But that crap still happens.
That's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, of course it does. And it's like, you know, people have only gotten, you know, craftier and craftier when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it's like, unfortunately, when you're buying stuff online, like you can't even trust the ratings that people give anymore, because they'll hire, like, you know, if you make a new eBay account or whatever, you can go to some website and say like, oh, I want to pay, I'll give you $100 and I want 200 reviews that are all 5 stars or whatever to give me an established account. And then, you know, none of those reviews are good. But like now it seems like this person's totally legit, and you buy a PS5 from them, and yours is the only negative review in a pile of 200. So it still looks like they're, you know, 4.9 stars out of 5. So
crap happens on Amazon. I actually lost a job because of that. But that stuff is the dishonesty that exists in the market right now because of things like that is not surprising, but frustrating and disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that this is still happening and we haven't moved past this kind of like petty level nonsense.
I mean, I'm not at all surprised. Folks were doing the same thing. What was it? When the pandemic started, they would buy like tons and tons and tons of like Clorox wipes and like toilet paper or whatever, and they're like, I'm gonna stockpile all this stuff. And then, you know, like the local authorities find out that like they've been hoarding tons and tons of like cleaning supplies or tons and tons of masks, and they're like, oh hey, yeah, like we can legally commandeer this. So yeah, sucks.
Yeah, and there needs to be a way to combat this happening, because it's going to keep happening until they produce enough that they can't do this. And if they can't do that, it's going to continue on and on, because people still want these consoles. People are still going to want these consoles into 2021. And I can't imagine it being until like June where they stop having quite as much hype. But by the time that happens, E3 is going to happen again, maybe, or an online equivalent of that's going to happen. If we're going to build more hype for stuff that's coming out then, it's just going to keep continually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it also goes back to the systems in place to combat it just aren't robust enough, because they just don't deal with this level of attacks. Like you think about when we were talking about you and us trying to get the Series X that day, and how much stuff was crashing and
Such a
things
bad day.
So it's like, how would you realistically prepare for that? As just one example, and then for the scalping, it's like. You got to have a robust email system, because this is difficult. This is not an easy thing to figure out. It's like, how are you going to filter out emails that may be coming from the same IP? It's like, oh, okay, this might be different emails, but it's still coming from the same. This person's entering them from the same computer. That probably, this is probably not different people's emails that are buying these right now. And if that person can get mad, but if it's like a cooldown period, it's like, hey, you got one, but you can't get one for like a day or two. You gotta wait a little bit. But that's those are things they're not really thinking about. Because again, for Microsoft and Sony, we sold the thing, we don't care anymore. Once it's sold, we don't care anymore. And again, it goes back to it will eventually settle down, which I think is why they're ultimately not going to care so much about a little bit of stress during the first 3 to 4 months, but it's still also ridiculous. $1,000,
Yeah.
$1,500, $2,000 ones I've been seeing on there.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, the resale prices.
The companies that make the console, it's like, once, like you're right, like once they sell it, it's like I don't really care, because now it's on the onus is on the distributor. So it's the Walmart, Best Buy, the wherever you pick up your console from, like it's on them to have like the more robust system, because like most folks probably aren't going to PlayStation5.com to order their PlayStation. Right. They're probably going to the nearby Microsoft Target or the nearby Walmart or whatever to grab it. But like they're not the folks who are going to bother to do any sort of like super robust like limiting of like, it'll probably at most you'll be lucky if they're like, oh, this email's already purchased one this week, you can't be in the queue to buy another one for another week, so sucks. And then you have the folks who are apparently in this like coalition of people who are hoarding PlayStation 5s, who are doing the more robust stuff of like, oh cool, like let's spoof our IP, like let's have a bot that can generate pseudo authentic emails or whatever, and we can just churn out tons of these things, and like as long as the bots are faster than the other bots 50% of the time, it's like we're going to come out on top.
Right. But we'll have to see how they decide to resolve that. But speaking of things that have been resolved, in the new Spider-Man game, some of you might have run into an issue where your PS4 saves aren't working with your PS5 Spider-Man remaster games. Why this was ever a problem in the first place, we don't know. But Spider-Man saves have been now fixed, and they will now be able to save transfer. Kenneth, have you run into this problem yet with yours, or?
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much a problem, but they were just saying that it wasn't going to happen. So it's like, you're going to have to start over if you play on the PS5 remaster. Now you can pull it over. It'll work. So the one quirk was just like, if you had the PS4 disc, you still going to need your PS4 disc for it. I don't understand how that works, because I'm going to have to reread that part, because that part didn't make sense to me. Because the remaster is its own download. If you bought the Miles Morales Ultimate, you're paying to get that PS4 remaster. So I understand if you're just playing the PS4 version on your PS5, that was like, I want my save to come over. Cool, got it. But if you want to use your save in a remaster, it doesn't make sense why you... Maybe that's not what they meant. Maybe that part got confused in the article. So we could figure that out. But.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how that works on Xbox too, as far as like if you had an older copy of the game you were playing on Xbox One, like if you bring it over to the Series X, you play the upgraded version of it now, does your save file also transfer on those games or not? Like, is this the industry standard that they won't transfer normally, or is it like this is a really easy fix and nobody should be running into this problem?
I was gonna say, like, I haven't tested that.
We should test that and find out.
But I haven't had a file. I guess it'd be like, definitely I know it works for the new games that came out this month that have like a Xbox One or Series X version. Like, so those saves, like if you upgrade it, then those have been working. I don't know if they're, well, no, anything else is either not been that. So it's been your saves have worked with that upgraded Series X version. So it's not like I have to go replay Halo.
Yeah. So I don't know why that wasn't part of it in the first place, but it's also something I was going to say, it's also something that is not surprising coming from Sony.
It's probably one of those things of like, hey, we want to have this thing ready for the PS5 release. Like, here are the number of features that we can make sure that we have, and this one will probably be like, we either just won't have it done in time or whatever. So it's like when you're going down the list of like, I want the game to be able to turn on. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you put at the top. That's the kind of stuff you put at the top of the list. And like, oh, like if you have a save from PS4 to PS5, it's like, worry about that when like 2 weeks out. We'll get it done. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but even still, like with something like that, you have Cyberpunk who was willing to like push their release dates back because of that, because they want to make sure they get a quality game out. Like that needs to be the priority.
But I guess to Steve's point though, it's like the game's already been out. So to the point of the save issues, like if that's the only thing, at least from what I understand, I know there's Miles Morales bugs we're finding, but it's like, but if that's the only problem, if that's the only thing, it's like, yeah, it'll be alright. 2 weeks, it'll be alright.
It's like, just come back. I'm working on other stuff right now. Just come back in like a week. You'll be good.
Yeah. Moving on to things that are in the works. HBO apparently has approved one of Sony's bigger titles to be a TV show. Last of Us is now getting a TV show on HBO. I haven't really played The Last of Us, so I don't necessarily know a lot about what's going on in that universe. I have kids and I don't have a lot of time on my hands, all right?
No,
and I can't play that in front of them.
Yeah, that does, yeah.
Yeah, you can. Just tell them to put a blindfold on and some noise-canceling headphones.
Oh my gosh, my kids already have a problem sleeping at night. Like, I don't need that. But we know that some of the creative directors on it are going to be Neil Druckmann and the writer of Chernobyl, Craig Mazin. Kenneth, you got some more information on this, right? Like,
yeah,
we know some people from Game of Thrones, and some of the Naughty Dog people are going to be on there.
Yeah, we got some Game of Thrones alumni in there, along with Cheryl Strauss was also on Chernobyl. So pretty solid writing team. And then this is not the Game of Thrones writers, which people might have some issues with. So I understand, especially with that last season. So I can understand people worried about in that sense. But right now, this is a short season just based off the first game. So anybody that has not played part 2 or is wondering how long this is going to go, we don't know that either. It just seems like it's a short series order in the way of like Watchmen or like Lovecraft Country, which are currently just one season shows so far.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see whether or not it tries to follow the video game storyline, or if it kind of does its own thing, just like operates in that universe but does its own thing.
I feel like if they want to go with a longer story, that's probably the way to go. But if they want to make it like a one and done, then do the story in the game and wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna probably watch it regardless, even if I like start getting into the game. But I'm curious about it, so we'll see how that goes for sure. For anybody that's played like The Witcher and you really, really liked Gwent, you might have been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla and really liked the side game that they've got from that. So the dice game Orlog from that game is actually going to get like a physical release from Pure Arts as well.
Nice.
I really like seeing these little side games get more development. Granted, the Gwent release has some mixed opinions to say the least about it, but I really enjoy Gwent and Witcher, like just as the core thing. It's a ton of fun. Like half the time I'll sit there and play Gwent for like 2 hours, but like just run around. Game. Yeah, just run around trying to find people to play Gwent against.
Geralt runs up with his dual disc.
Yeah, I'm the duel. Oh man, if they had a dual disc in that game, just as a meme, it'd be hilarious.
I'll start working on the mod right now.
Yes.
It's like every combat that you get into is a Gwent game.
I like seeing game companies realize that they've created this little niche thing in the midst of their own game, like a game within a game, and like there's enough popularity of it to keep it going. I really want to see more game companies kind of do fun things like that. I think it's great. It's kind of like how what is it? So in Final Fantasy VIII, you have Triple Triad. If you play Final Fantasy XIV, you know that Triple Triad makes a comeback in that game, and it's actually like you can win a whole lot of cool stuff just from being good at Triple Triad. So I like seeing when games do things like this.
Just so long as it's not too much of a core mechanic.
Yeah.
It's like you can play it if you want to, but as soon as they're like, we're gonna grind everything to a halt. You gotta do this thing. You know that game we were teasing that you probably haven't been practicing?
the JRPG has that as like the final fight for the fight against God. It's like, he challenges you to a match of Gwent for the fate of the world.
I'd be screwed.
It's like, oh my god, my deck is trash. Like, I'm not gonna win.
It was like, I saved to this point. I can't go back and forth. What?
What's funny in The Witcher 3 is there is a character in the DLC that I could totally see challenging you to a game of Gwent to decide the fate of the world. Who's in the DLC? Like, it's totally within the realm of possibilities with this character, but I'm not going to say who it is because it would completely ruin a storyline for you.
Nice. I gotta go back and hit up that Witcher 3 DLC.
Oh, it's like as long as an actual game. Like, it's huge.
Nice.
The game is notorious for being enormous.
It is.
But speaking of older games, we got a surprise. Man, now that I think about it, Square Enix has been doing this a lot. We got a surprise game reveal from Square Enix. So we already knew that we were getting something along the lines of a new game or a remake of something called Near 1 point blah, 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 blah. I can't remember right now because there's too many numbers. It's like trying to memorize pi right now. But The World Ends With You, for all of you people who were obsessed with that game and are just all in that fandom, you're getting a sequel to that game. I don't know how you talk Square Enix into making a sequel for The World Ends With You, but it's happening. You should be excited.
It's a good game.
It is a good game, but the cult fandom being able to talk Square Enix into that is nuts to me. But if you haven't had a chance to play The World Ends With You, it's a really fun, non-RPG that just has a huge fandom for a good reason. It's really good. You see some of the characters pop up in other games. Go check it out. It's going to get a sequel. Be excited. There's a trailer on YouTube that you can find. Go YouTube it after the show tonight, and you'll be quite pleased with it. It's going to be released on PS4 and Nintendo Switch in April 2021, which is right around the corner. Which further goes into this thing. I'm really excited about game companies giving us game reveals and then not having to wait X amount of years for the game to come out.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels really good. Are you excited about the anime being coming out alongside it?
I didn't know about that.
That will also be out next year.
That'll be really good.
I was gonna say my favorite kind of reveals are, I guess they only kind of usually do it at E3, where they're like, I was like, oh man, when does this game come out? You can play it right now. Like, stop what you're doing and go to Steam. It's out right now.
Yeah, I love when that happens. I'm like,
this game's gonna be great. Once it come out, they're like, stop what you're doing and go to Steam. Type in this game and see when this comes out. And it's like download games.
Yeah, that or when they do you want to play this game? It's not ready yet, but you can play the demo right now, and the demo is 10 hours long. Enjoy.
It's amazing how we've come, because it used to be the date, then the demo, and now it's just what Steve was saying. It's it just drops on the store. Yeah. I remember the Halo when they what was it, November 9th, 2004, when the numbers popped on the screen. People were like,
yeah.
It's like when Skyrim came out. I remember Bethesda had a thing where it was if you named your kid Dovahkiin, if they were born on 11/11/11, they would give you free games forever. I'm sure there's somebody out there who got a copy of Fallout 76 for free. He was like, this was not worth it. It's this is whack.
That would be, yeah, because they haven't come out with anything good since Skyrim. I mean, what?
Yep. Unless you want to count all the other times that they've come up with Skyrim.
What's funny to me is the fact that when they did that commercial where they had Skyrim on Amazon Alexa, and they're like, you can download it on Amazon Alexa. That was also a same-day release, and it was real. You can actually go play D&D style Skyrim on your Amazon Alexa, right now.
I mean, just play Dwarf Fortress. You get a UI, and it's like roughly approximately the same.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's just fancier with Dwarf Forge, just because it's been in development for like 16 years or something.
Yeah. So the last thing we're going to end on tonight is going to be talking about the Game Awards. So for those of you who are gamers, you recognize that around the end of the year, we get like this huge award show where they talk about like the greatest games that have come out for this year. 2020 has been a weird year for a lot of industries. But well, there've been a lot of things that have come out, and it's also given some games that wouldn't normally have a chance to shine an opportunity to show their stuff, such as Hades. Hades is up for, along with other games such as Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing. I have to stop because the fact that that's in this mix is weird. And The Last of Us. So those 6 in particular are up for, So those 6 in particular are up for Game of the Year. But I'm really excited about Hades being up for the Game of the Year because it's a small studio game that is just that daggum good. Like, I have not met a single person who has played that game that's like, this game is stupid. Like, everybody I know loves it. Even if they don't play it that much, they're like, no, this is good. It's not for me, but it's really good.
I have not heard of this game, Hades. I did look at the list of games that were up for the nomination, and basically, like, my friends and I had spoken about it, and we're just like, yo, I enjoyed Animal Crossing, but it does not even deserve to be in contention for Game of the Year. Like, straight up, if a pandemic had not dunked on the world shortly before Animal Crossing's release, it would not be nearly as popular as it is. Because really, like, Animal Crossing is like... Well, sorry, go ahead. I was
going to say, really, the pandemic was like starting to dunk, but then it passes the ball off, and you see villagers just come in like, ah!
Alley-oop?
Yes.
But it was like, if the I enjoy Animal Crossing. It is a fun game. Like, I played the first one. Animal Crossing is somewhat of a niche game for people who like to play the same game every day and have slightly different experiences. Mm-hmm. Like, it is not a game that appeals to, that under normal circumstances appeals to what I would describe as casual gamers. Now, given the unique climate that the pandemic created in a suspicious timing close to when Animal Crossing came out, we're going to shoot Nintendo. Like, you had everybody trapped at home for an indeterminate period of time, and everybody online's talking like, "Oh, Animal Crossing, blah, blah, blah." Me, I'm the person who has been playing Animal Crossing for the past however many years, not consistently, of course, but it's like, "Oh, Animal Crossing's out. It's so much of a fun game." Blah blah blah. My partner's like, "What is this? This looks stupid. What's the plot? I don't get it." 500 hours later, she's collected like every item in the game. But it was weird items, or a weird scenario that like appealed to casual gamers or people who aren't casual gamers or just random folks. And they were like, "Oh, I see my kid playing this game. They're dumping a lot of time into it. It's really cute. It's easy to understand. It's not very what's the word I'm looking for? Like hand-eye coordination heavy. Like, I could get into this." And then they start playing on their kids' Switch. And their kid keeps wanting to play. They're like, "Yo, keep this. I'm making my own island. I'm gonna buy a Switch Lite." And like, and it passes along that way, and it starts to pop off. Like, so Animal Crossing got like a 500% buff to strength because of the pandemic. But like, in any other year, had this come out, maybe not 2021. I don't know how that's gonna go. Any other year had Animal Crossing come out, is like, it would not be nearly as successful. And the fact that like they do not acknowledge that it is an exception, not the rule, when they're nominating games for Game of the Year, I was just like, yo, come on. You mean to tell me that Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing are on the same footing? I do not think so.
But I
don't know. Have you seen all those memes?
I have seen the memes.
The memes are great. They retweet each other.
The memes are great. They shared a release date, and that's it. That's it.
God, I feel.
But so Isabel and the Doomslayer are best friends.
Canonically, they are. Yeah, it's true. I don't know. That's not true. I'm just saying. But in our hearts and minds, canonically, it's true. So it's the way it is. However, Isabella's not up for contention for Game of the Year. I'm just saying, it's a fun game. I love it.
What's gonna be really funny is if Doomslayer comes to Smash Brothers, and then like Isabel like comes up and like Sakurai makes a trailer where like Isabel comes up and hands him the invitation to Smash Brothers.
I would not be surprised.
I hope that happens.
That's great.
I mean, if they put Minecraft Steve in Smash Brothers,
yeah,
any character, they put Minecraft Steve in Smash Brothers before Waluigi. Any character is on the table.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah, basically.
And
What were you
It's
saying?
there in spirit.
What were you saying about the scenarios that we're facing with Game of the Year?
Yeah.
So, I'm curious how you feel about Final Fantasy VII Remake being on there. As
It's
much
a
as we're
good-
talking about Animal Crossing, I kind of have a
No.
problem with it being there.
I do have a problem
it's
with
weird. Yeah, like it's weird that it's there. Like I think I understand why it's there because it's a really good game. Like it really is. But also like this is already a game that existed,
Yeah, it is.
and this is like part 1.
This is just a do-over. You can't win Game of the Year on half of a do-over.
Like, I'm fine with it being in an RPG category. And, and
but it's
may
not fair to be Game of the Year. Come on.
Yeah, and like honestly, like it's good, but it's not like Game of the Year material. Like, I wouldn't put it up there. Like they took, what was it, like an 8-hour block of Final Fantasy VII, if that, and like expanded it into this humongous thing and just added a bunch of stuff, which is cool, and that's why it should be in the RPG category because it's a cool thing that they did. But it shouldn't be like Game of the Year quality stuff.
All right, my other thought, or I guess I have two. If I had to pick, I want Ghost of Tsushima to win. Although I do need to play Hades, so we'll give Hades a fair shake and see how I feel about it. But I mean, I guess I'm just blown away by how good that was so late into the PS4's life cycle that I was shocked that it was like, wait, what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't win art direction and design, I will also be upset just because of how beautiful it is. Like we talk about swinging in the New York City in Spider-Man. Ghost of Tsushima is that on horseback, and you find yourself just looking at things. And you find yourself just stopping and looking around, like, oh, it's beautiful. They're beautiful.
This is so pretty.
This place is amazing. Stab. For me, it's like I haven't played Hades, so I gotta go peep that and at least like kind of familiarize myself with it. But I haven't finished Ghost of Tsushima, but I have played a sizable amount of it, and I played a lot of Doom, and like they were both games where, like for Ghost of Tsushima, for me as I was playing it like multiple times, I'm just like, wow, this game is like really beautiful, and like for me, it's like the stories like hit extra hard for me because like there's so many of them where I'm just like, this is so sad. Like,
yeah.
But like at the same time, like in a completely different way, like literally like every like 40 seconds of Doom Eternal, I'm just like, this is just such a fun game. Like the game loop is just so good. I'm sprinting over here, shoot this dude in the face with a shotgun, shoot a grenade in that dude's mouth, jump back here, slash this guy because he's too hard to fight any other way, shoot this dude in the face. And I'm just like, this game loop's just so fun, and they added so much to the lore of the Doom world. Like, you can play through Doom Eternal and have as much fun as I had and not consume like any of the extra story stuff at all. I would argue you would have less fun, but like you could have as much fun as I had and not consume the extra story stuff. But like going through the story, like they made the actual like world of Doom like more than just use a dude who got a job in space and they made a portal to hell. Oopsie doopsie, everybody's dead but you, so you gotta fix this. And like Doom 1 is like, hey, they did the thing, good job. Doom 2 is like, hey, they did it again. Got him. Doom 3. Guess what? Like they went back and they basically wrote like a really engaging universe for like, given the basic premise of Doom, how could all of this happen in a way that's not super duper stupid? And they did a really good job at creating it in an engaging way. Like if you don't know like the history of like the Doom character, I won't ruin any of it. But go peep a video on YouTube somewhere and like watch somebody play through it or however you like to consume that kind of stuff. It's really engaging. And for me as a player, I'm like, oh wow, like I'm learning the history of the character who I am and why exactly I'm so ridiculously unstoppable. And like they provide like a reason for that. And I thought it was really engaging. And like the way that they had the whole world set up. And I'm like, it's different than Ghost of Tsushima, but like they're both like really, really good choices. And like I haven't played Hades yet, but if Hades super, super good, like I would be hard pressed to see a game that slaps as hard as Ghost of Tsushima or Doom Eternal.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think about what I would put in the Final Fantasy VII Remake slot. And I don't know? Mainly because, like, I feel like everything that was supposed to come out this year got pushed back really hard. And then...
there's still time for Cyberpunk. We got less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, but it's going to be after the awards happen.
Yeah,
oh, right, because they're happening.
Right.
They're getting ready. Yeah, getting ready to happen.
So I'm not really sure, like, what I would put in there.
Also, then that's silly. I don't... You know what? I don't like that timeline then. You know?
Yeah, how you going to pick the game of the year before the year's over?
Well, welcome to that. I mean... Because I haven't played Star Wars Squadron, so I don't really know if it's as good enough to warrant that.
So I do want to... I will break out and say VR real quick. I know Half-Life Alyx is going to get a lot of attention, as it should. But I would also argue the experience for that is showing off the Valve Index controllers. And that's not a bad thing. Those things are great. It also works on my Quest and on my Vive. So, like, I can play it. You can play it on a variety of... You don't have to have it, Index to play it. That's almost a $1,500 system by itself. But there are some extra things you get to experience there if you're using that.
Yeah.
But when I think of actually, I'll use the Doom comparison. Being in the cockpit in Squadrons is what you always thought you wanted when you were playing X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, when you were playing Rogue Squadron, when you were playing Ace Combat, when you were playing Zone to Enders, Star Fox, you name it. When you get into cockpit view on a game and you're like, this is dumb, I don't like this, and you're trying to play it on your controller, when you play it on VR, everything clicks, and you're like, yes, I get what I'm supposed to do. So I actually feel for anyone that's not playing on VR and just playing the normal version, because they're probably like, man, I don't like having stuck in the cockpit. I'm like, I get it. It's a VR game that's been ported. Really, that's what it is. The VR game has been ported to
That's
Xbox
interesting.
and PS4. But I would argue it's the VR game of the year. I think it should win in that category. I wouldn't put it in game of the year because I just don't think it stacks up to that, because it's not as robust.
Different experience.
Different experience. The campaign's paper thin. It's not super long. Online's probably needed some more modes here soon, but I think EA is going to support it. Sounds like our little community's building up. So yay.
Yeah. So I'm like scrolling down the list and trying to figure out how their timeline works with this, but like I'm looking at like other things that are nominated for various things. So like Best of Action and Adventure, like you got like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is more of a new game than Final Fantasy VII Remake. You got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I love that stupid game. I've been playing it lately, and it's
That was a really
so good.
And they came out with a really good DLC for free.
Yeah, like I would put that in Game of the Year quality because the game is just that good. It's short. I'll give you that. Like I didn't want to pay $60 for it, but I bought it when it was on sale, and it's really good. We've already talked about how I'm playing a ton of Genshin Impact. Mortal Kombat 11 is in there. Crash Bandicoot 4 is in there, and I've heard that's really good. I would say any of those I would throw in that mix.
Okay. Mobile game category.
Okay.
Genshin or Among Us?
Genshin, because Among Us didn't come out this past year.
Yeah, Among Us came out like 2 years ago.
That's true.
And that's the thing that I don't understand about this. Because I'm looking at the Among Us, I'm like, Among Us came out like in 2018? Like, why is this here?
Well, was the PC one the one that was out all the time, and then the mobile one just came out?
But see, then that's the thing. Even if that's the case, should that like matter?
That goes back into Final Fantasy territory.
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
it should matter.
That's fair. All right, I'll give it the Genshin Impact in that regard. If that's going to be our internal team criteria.
Yeah.
Which is
I'd
also
give it the
funny to
Genshin
me.
Impact.
Yeah.
Genshin Impact is a straight up and down good game. Like,
yeah.
like,
Like,
say what you want about
whatever-
gotchas or like microtransactions and all that other stuff. Like,
Mhm.
you can have all those things. Genshin Impact is the proof that you can have all of those like shady money making practices be in a game that is actually good and like you don't care about it as much because of it.
Mm-hmm. Like it's got
Yeah.
flaws. We're not saying it's a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a ton and it's free, and you'll have fun regardless of whether or not you spend money.
Yeah. But yeah, you raise a good point of like if you start taking stuff out of the list, it's like what do you start to replace it with? And the answer is kind of like,
Yeah.
I
I honestly probably would throw. I probably would throw Genshin Impact in there. Like it wouldn't win, but I would throw it in there because I think it deserves it. Or I would throw Jedi Fallen Order in there, like between those two.
it does seem like a little bit of like too soon, given that like the new Legend of Zelda came out on Thursday, and they're like, here's your list for Game of the Year, and I'm like, hold up, my dude. Nintendo's like, wait, put my kid on stage. He just got his costume on. Go up, get out there, get up.
Okay, so then here's my... Yeah, that's why I want to know the window, because if Assassin's Creed Valhalla can make this list, I know people got to play test Cyberpunk. So like,
But yeah, that's not the same though.
Yeah.
You can't just
But it's not out.
play test.
okay, but they must have... Well, what I'm saying... Well, not play test, but
Is
like
it
review...
demo of the
early-
year?
Did it release before this was made?
Before the list came out, obviously not. What I'm saying is, but for them to determine that they were going to do Valhalla, they must have gotten to play it, and then obviously it hit the release date, and it was still within the window. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so like anytime that we've ever gotten a press copy of a game, I usually get it about 10 days before the game releases.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking happened there. But
Yeah.
obviously, I guess Cyberpunk might have canceled some of those because they just now gave those out, and we're just now seeing people's previews, and they're like, hey, I've played 16 out. Like we're just now seeing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like
I don't know how a game comes out and they're like, oh, hey, I played 16 hours. I got the game yesterday. I played 16 hours. Like, what you mean you haven't played 24 hours of it, my man? It's like you got the game 24 hours ago. You posted about it on Twitter. I want a whole 24-hour review.
What do you mean you were sleeping?
What you mean bathroom breaks?
They make adult diapers?
Also,
Yeah,
I've
man.
heard the prologue on it is long. It's like 8
Is it?
hours. It's 8 hours before you ever get the title screen.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, the prologue for Genshin is pretty long. Like, it's like you go from, like I think I played for like 2 days before I finished the prologue missions. It's like you go through like the first like. Well, I guess it's basically up and you play through enough until you unlock co-op, roughly there or about, which is
I wonder-
about like 2 days or probably 16 hours or something like that.
It depends on how hard you play.
Yeah. I might be underestimating. Like, oh yeah, I got it in 2 days. Yep. Spent definitely 2 days, not all in one.
I thought he was saying that like the prologue like cutscene was like really long because I know Final Fantasy
8
14 has some Final Fantasy 14 has some cutscenes in there where they warn you ahead of time before you start this scene. They're like, hey, you need to like make sure you don't have anything to do for like the next like 40 minutes because you're going to be here for a while. Because there's a lot that happens. And granted, all those cutscenes are phenomenal. Like there's a ton of good story that happens in them, but it's long.
That's a welcomed warning. It's like, hey man,
Yeah.
I know that you're just in the zone playing the game, but you need to like make sure that you got like the next 45 minutes free, like,
Yeah.
because you
Go
can't
take a
pause
bathroom
this.
break. Yeah, so I don't know, but I'm getting just sidetracked. As far as the stuff that's up for the Game of the Year and the nominees go, I don't know. I'm assuming you guys can see the list right now.
Mhm.
Is there anything in particular there that you're excited about or you think needs to be in various places, like where you would see something on the list that you're like, no, I'd rather replace it with this game, or
I mean, I need to check out the fighting games. I haven't really dove into those. And then
I'm sitting here looking at the soundtrack. I'm like, why is Genshin Impact not on best score in music? Because every time I'm running around somewhere,
it's so good.
It is. And like, I really like it because like, there's a lot of Chinese music, and I don't see that in games very often, like ever. And I love that that's in there. It sounds so good. It fits it. They've written a score that like really fits like whatever scene you're in.
Absolutely. Like for me, like the thing I really appreciate about most of Genshin Impact is playing an anime style game that doesn't have like every single character in a hypersexualized outfit. And I'm just like, these outfits are like very embellished and they're very cute and adorable, but like it's not hypersexualized. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can actually play this game and enjoy it.
And that's not to say that there aren't characters that are like that, Lisa. But
there are characters who are like somewhat fan servicey, but you're not like bombarded by it in the same way that you are with like every other like JRPG isekai game or whatever. And I'm just like, finally a game like I can play these characters and I'm not like, oh man, I hope I don't play this somewhere out when I'm out and about and people are like, what you playing?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that man playing an H game on the bus? No.
There are characters that are part of the main story who are like that, but there's also a fairly good number of characters who aren't like that. And it's really nice to see that in a game and to be able to play anime games that don't have that as the main focus.
Yeah. And that's
especially with something as
the thing I really appreciate about it being like a Chinese game is like I don't play a whole lot of Chinese games, but I guess they just don't do that. Like I really appreciate the anime art style, but they're like, hey, what if people were just people and they liked fancy outfits?
What?
Yeah. What? Exactly. I need to play Ori and the Wisp because it keeps being on things that I would want to play a game for. Like it's on the score and music stuff. It's in art direction, and I want to see if it's as good as everyone acts like it is.
Yeah, it looks like a game that people have really strong opinions about, but like it just doesn't appeal to me. I'm just like, I can't shoot anyone in the head. I'm not killing zombies. I'm not defending my honor by learning the way of the blade, and nor am I murdering demons or building a town from scratch. So what does this game have to offer me other than a dope soundtrack?
Yeah, I would replace Fortnite with Final Fantasy XIV for sure. Like, I don't understand why that's above, like, as far as best ongoing games go. Like, Fortnite's done some cool things, especially like the Marvel crossover that's happening right now. But Final Fantasy XIV is so damn good. Like, it deserves way more.
But who's playing it though?
A lot of people. It's like second to WoW, and that's it.
I feel like you could probably take Apex Legends off of here and put on Final Fantasy 13, but like, despite the fact I don't care for Fortnite, I don't like it, I don't like to watch it, and I don't enjoy playing the game myself. It is a really big, super duper impactful game that like makes massive waves through the like, you know, the whole gaming industry as a whole. So like despite the fact I don't care for it, I can't discount like how impactful it is. Also, I am really glad to see No Man's Sky on here. Like, I feel like there should be a category for the best in goodening of a game.
Most improved.
Most improved. Because No Man's Sky is like No Man's Sky. If you don't know that much about it, No Man's Sky started off as like a straight up and down disappointment. Because the lead developer, whenever anybody asked him if any feature would be in the game, he was like, "Yeah, that'll be in the game." He's like, "Oh, will you be able to play as Waluigi in the game?" Yeah, that'll be in the game. Why wouldn't you be able to play as Waluigi? You would do that, and like he just said, like in all these interviews, he just said yes to everybody and just overhyped the hell out of the game. And it came out, and like, of course, it didn't live up to the hype because no human could possibly deliver on all those promises. But over time, over the past however many years has it been since No Man's Sky came out? Like, actually been holding it down and, you know, putting the effort in to deliver the game that he went out on all these interviews and told the whole world they would have. like for example, that it would be co-op, because for the longest time that was the biggest thing of like, is this game co-op or not? Because you keep saying things that alludes to it being co-op, but on the back of the box it says that it's like a single player experience, so I'm not really sure what to think. And literally like day one, two people ended up on the exact same planet, and they're like, I'm standing right here looking at this thing. It's like, I'm standing right here, and it's like, this is not co-op. And he's like, wow, that's crazy. Y'all found each other on the same day? That's bonkers.
Which statistically, the chances of that happening were so low because there's so many planets.
I feel like he was just like, nobody's ever gonna bump into each other before we can get this feature enabled. It'll be fine. And like literally day one.
Underestimating the internet.
But yeah, major props to No Man's Sky and making their game good. But I feel like that should be a whole category of games that came out that were trash and were good. Fallout 76 isn't quite there yet, but maybe if you believe hard enough, Fallout 76 can be good too.
I'll wait till I can play it on my fridge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I'll play it when it comes out on Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color. But I can't give enough props to Hades. Like, Hades is also in here for best indie game, and it's at the same time best for game of the year. Like,
that's a pretty good prop.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen ever.
You know what? I'm gonna buy Hades on Steam right now. I can't promise when I'm gonna get around to play it because I got Genshin dailies to do. But I'm gonna buy it right now.
Apparently, we need to be streaming some Genshin on this channel.
Apparently.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
All right, but that's all we've got for tonight's show. We've talked a lot about games and TV stuff. If you have anything you want to hear about in the future, let us know in the comments below on the one of our channels. We're excited to have spent this time with you tonight. We'll catch up with you on Wednesday in the Commander Ship Show, where they're going to be talking about the latest in movie and TV news. I have no idea what you guys are talking about Wednesday. Do you know yet?
DC. We're going to be
snap.
We're going to be getting a lead up from some of the stuff we talked about today and getting ready to cover some of the last DC movies we did during the summer. So we've got to release our Justice League. I think we need to release Justice League, Aquaman, and then we'll record live Shazam and redo Birds of Prey, because we talked a little bit Birds of Prey, but we didn't actually record a full up Birds of Prey review. And that will lead us into Wonder Woman 1984, where both me and Tom will watch it Christmas morning or sometime during the day on Christmas.
Oh gosh!
And then we'll pop something out either before or after that and get our thoughts on it. So everything's leading up to Wonder Woman 1984.
All right. Are you guys doing your rewatch show this week with the holiday and everything, or no?
Tomorrow? Yes.
Yeah.
The Battlestar is continuing. We're no longer on the main Battlestar show. We're starting Caprica tomorrow. So it's the first three episodes of Caprica. We've already watched it, so we'll be talking about it, breaking it down on Tuesday.
All right, sounds good. Well, this has been Kenneth, Steve, and Jerry. We hope you've had a fun time with us tonight. We'll catch you guys around. See ya.
See you later.
Bye.